Ha, gotcha.
You have got me. You have got me.
I'm here with Sarah. Sarah's not her real name, but Sarah has a powerful story as someone who lives in Alberta. She's actually from Calgary. So the legislation that's being debated right now directly affects people like Sarah. So Sarah, can you just maybe start us off about when you were growing up? What are some of the questions you were wrestling with?
Well, truth is, I actually used to be a huge girly girl when I was little. I loved to like wear dresses and pretend to be Hannah Montana. I always loved to do that and I was a total diva. In fact, one time I wanted to skip breakfast so I can straighten my hair. You know, I was the diva type. One issue I always had though is I could never really fit in with other girls. They were always sending me off. They never gave me the time of day. I just never fit in with them, and it really deeply hurt. And I felt like I didn't belong with them because of that. My whole life, girls haven't really wanted to talk to me.
Okay, so you felt really disconnected from other girls.
But yeah, and truth is, so I was around a lot of guys all the time. Part of that fed into me starting to feel like a guy. I was around guys all the time, and also because back then they didn't really diagnose girls as much with autism and ADHD. So in my special ed classes, I was around guys all the time, and I just started developing more masculine interests and started dressing differently, feeling like a guy. That's really how it started.
And so you said you were diagnosed with autism. Can you tell me about that as well?
I was diagnosed at the age of 5. It's not very common for girls to be diagnosed at such a young age because they're typically better at hiding it. But now they started figuring out now that they're my age that they are autistic now. It's become a huge thing, as you can tell on social media. Lots of girls are finding out they have autism now. But getting off track here, but yeah, I was around guys all the time. And that's how I started feeling like a guy. I didn't fit in with the girls.
So was that through all elementary school? And then when you went to middle school, did that get worse or better? Or
Oh, yeah, definitely worse in middle school because I was the only girl in a class when I was in grade 6. That really affected me. I was kind of deprived of female interaction. And I started behaving more and more like a boy. Like the teachers noticed I moved more like one. I talked more like one. I acted more like one over time. And when I got into middle school and I was around girls again, I felt weird and out of place. Like maybe I'm not a girl. I don't feel like a girl. I felt like I was in the wrong locker room even because I was so used to being around guys all the time and seeing the world from a guy's perspective. And there's a lot of factors that played into this transgender thing, but that was one of them. The other factor was that clubs. I had no friends at school in grade 7. Like, I walked in, nobody wanted to talk to me, they all ignored me. But then there was a club, and it was in lunchtime, and I could go to it. It was called Gay Straight Alliance. Now, I had no interest in this kind of stuff, but I was like, dang, if this is a place I can make friends, I'm going to do that. So I went there. Everyone was nice to me and welcoming. They listened to me. They didn't interrupt me. They didn't talk over me. I felt respected. But there was one feeling I had in my gut that this was wrong. One feeling. But I kept going because that's the place for people to talk to me. And they were all older kids too.
What were they telling you there, Sarah?
Well, I was introduced to what sexuality was, about being gay, being bisexual. They told me about gender, how some people were born in the wrong body and is the wrong gender. Now, another thing, my body, I didn't feel comfortable in my body because I just recovered from anorexia. And I've always struggled with it. And then suddenly, as soon as I've recovered, I was going through puberty. I wasn't ready. I was scared. I already had to go through a major body transformation. Like, when you're recovering from it, you have to put on like 20 pounds. So that was already very hard for me. But after putting on 20 pounds, I hit puberty. So like that was really hard for me. And it made me want to escape my body. And going on testosterone or getting surgery would make me feel in control. That's the main thing in eating disorders. Feeling in control is one of the most important to us.
And so this feeling of control was also helped contribute to you wanting to think yourself a boy. Is that right?
Well, physically, yeah, it made me want to transition.
Hmm. And you were only around, because you said grade seven, so that would be like 13, 14, right?
I was 12.
12. Wow. So how did you begin to transition at school then at this point when you felt so strongly, and what did that look like?
Well, I didn't start transitioning until I was 13 because I
Okay.
wasn't fully sure if this was the right thing or not. There was a gut feeling telling me it was wrong, but
Okay.
that's when I just started to ignore it. I believe that gut feeling was God,
Hmm.
because I'm very spiritual,
Hmm.
but people can call it whatever they want. It could just be knowledge or like to
Right.
whoever don't believe in it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I remember just thinking, I can't do this. This is wrong, but
Mhm.
it also feels so right because when you're a teenager, you want to break out of those boundaries. You want to be free.
Mhm.
You question who you are.
Right. Yeah. So around 13, you said you began to transition. What did that transition look like?
Well, I chopped off all my hair, and actually, funny story, I cut my hair to this day. I have 10 years of hair experience now, so I guess that's the only positive I got out of it. At least I get to save money on going to the hairdresser. But
Okay,
my
yeah.
first time cutting my hair, I looked hideous. Okay, I had a bowl cut. It looked so bad. But
Oh
the people
my.
at school were so nice. They're all like, "Nice haircut." They're all being nice though about it because I don't know when it's trans related. I guess they're just nicer.
Right.
But
And
yeah, it was. And then I came home, and my mom was like, "What did you do to your hair? You're beautiful. Love his hair."
right,
Like,
right.
I was in so much trouble.
Well, did your parents suspect anything? Did they figure out why you had cut your hair that way?
Yeah, they knew I wanted to be a boy.
Hmm. Okay. But were they aware of your transitioning at school that people were they
No, no,
okay.
that was the secret.
Okay, so what was the secret? Like what were the kinds of things that they were not told?
I was going by the name of Zach, male
Okay.
pronouns. Yeah, basically those two things. For the locker rooms and bathroom issue, I used the teacher one because I didn't feel comfortable going to the men's bathroom because their bodies are biologically different, and I don't want to see that.
Right. And so the teachers never told your parents you were doing this at school.
Nah, I told them in the end, and that's how this whole thing happened. And
Right.
then he just contacted the lawyers, and then we started taking action.
Well, no, in terms of you telling them, was one of the things you had told me was this was so stressful for you living as a boy at school and living as a girl at
Oh
home.
yeah.
How can you explain what that stress did to you?
Well, it kind of felt like I was in a cross-dresser movie a bit.
Hmm.
Have you ever seen Miss Doubtfire?
Yes, yeah, no, that's one of my favorites when I was
Yeah,
young.
so that's exactly what it was like. So like the part, so especially the part when um the where I think I don't remember his name, but like the guy who was Miss Doubtfire. Remember that scene when he was changing a
Mhm.
bunch and like the tea scene and then the cake scene and all that.
Right.
Basically, I had a lot of situations like that, especially parent teacher conferences.
Oh, wow.
That kind of thing. It is the movie's not exaggerating. It's that stressful.
So, like, your parents would come to school and you were trying to dress up as a girl again just before they got to school, that kind of.
Not exactly that. It was more so just I'd have to tell people, call me Sarah, call me like use she pronouns, but they would slip up still. And what made things even worse is I had a friend with short term memory loss.
Oh
So
no.
he after I tell him, he would forget and he'd be like, "Hi Zach, hi Zach." I was like immediately like, "No, don't call me that. Call me Sarah." I was like, "Okay, I'll call you Sarah. Hi Zach."
Yikes.
It's so
Okay.
bad.
Oh boy. Now, was it again, I know a little bit of your story. What was the last straw when you had to tell them? What happened?
That
It-
feeling of being a boy went away because I made a female friend and we talked about girl stuff.
and why was that
Where
conversation so important?
I never hardly ever get to interact with girls or
Hmm.
like feel like don't usually relate to them very well. But I felt like I could relate to her. She had like tomboy things too, and
Now, before that, can I ask Sarah, did you ever try to harm yourself because you were so stressed?
yeah,
Would you mind sharing a
I don't
little?
do that anymore.
Oh no,
I
and
would
that
never.
yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry.
But yeah, I don't harm myself anymore though. That's stupid.
I'm glad to hear that. But at this time, were you so stressed that you harmed yourself or
I
tried
did.
to? You did?
Yes, I did.
Yeah. And what did your parents find out that you were trying to harm yourself? What did they do?
Yeah, they were devastated.
Hmm. And what did they do when they saw that you were harming yourself?
Don't fully remember everything because it was so long ago, or maybe my trauma just blocked it out. But
Hmm. Hmm.
my dad did everything he could.
Hmm. You
I mean,
said,
sometimes he did things I'm not proud of for it, but when you're scared and freaked out, you do things. I
right.
get it.
You had mentioned your dad went to some lawyers. Is that right? When they found out?
Yeah, he did. Yeah, he did that, and we worked together to help take steps, take action.
And what was the action that you guys took?
I don't know all my legal terms, but we did something to change the law.
Hmm.
And I remember after that law was changed, seeing all my high school classmates upset about it. And I
Mm.
was just walking there in my head. I'm like, I did it. It's all my fault, guys. In my head, I'm like, wow, I am under a lot of pressure right now
Mm.
because it's my fault, guys.
Well, a lot of people will think actually you're a hero, Sarah, for doing that. So I hope you know a lot of us are very encouraged by your bravery. So don't be discouraged. Now, were you able to stay at that school, or what did your teachers do to you?
Well, which school? Because like what happened is I graduated middle school, and then I had a fresh start at a completely different high school with none of the students from my middle school.
Huh?
So they had no idea that I was a part of that law change. That was the whole reason. I wanted a fresh slate.
But in terms of your middle school, where you had that been attending that club when you were 13, did your teachers react when you stopped wanting to transition?
100%. They weren't very supportive of it.
What did they do?
It was kind of passive aggressive almost. They
Mm-hmm.
seemed polite, nice, and supportive, but my intuition said otherwise. I knew. One time they tried to give me a book,
Hmm.
and I didn't accept it. Turns out the book was a story about someone who was gay and afraid to talk about it. I mean, I am full support of people who are gay. Like, that's your life, whatever. But to someone who is just had a bad experience in LGBT community, it's like kind of it's kind of not the right situation to do that.
Hmm. And you told me once you had been confronted at your locker too. Is that right?
Yeah, that was the story. It was very fake. She's like, "Hi, Sarah. I haven't seen you in so long. Here, take this book." And I just ran away, and I did not take the book. Something felt very off. I felt it. And then like I came home, told my parents. They looked up the book, and yeah, there was LGBT stories in it.
Mhm. And how old were you at this time?
15.
Yeah, so you were still underage, and wow. Well, Sarah, you're so brave. And what happened in terms of once this changed and you were able to go into high school? Um, what do you think now of your experience in the past?
It sucked, but it's important to me that I move on with my life. You know,
Mhm.
terrible things happen in life. No, but it's always important. I can't let it get to me. I move forward, give my best shot in life, and just make sure people don't make the same mistakes.
Mhm. And what would you say to the government that's trying to prevent teachers from keeping secrets from parents? What message would you give them?
Minors don't know what the hell they're doing. Okay, I'm actually studying kids right now in school. Their brains are not fully developed. They don't know what they want. There's stages in life. They haven't fully gone through all those stages yet. Their brains aren't fully developed. There's times when they're experimenting, all kinds of things. But this is basically putting the same responsibility on a kid that an adult would have. Kids
Mhm.
are kids, regardless. If you're under 18, you're a kid.
Mhm. And what do you say to the transgender activists who say this kind of protection will kill children or will harm them? How would you respond to that?
I'm going to be honest, I empathize. It
Mm.
sucks. Feeling out of control with your body, it's hard. I'm going to be honest, I don't know the answer to that, but I really hope we can find something that'll help that won't be life altering to them. Because I do truly care. I care
Mhm.
about how they feel. I remember being in those shoes. It was
Mhm.
really hard.
Mhm.
And I truly care about all of them. And I hope that they can be safe and everything can work out best for them.
Mhm. Now, was there anything else you'd like to say, maybe to some of those kids who are going through what you did in middle school?
Things will get better. Don't give up yet, please. You know, puberty will have an end to it. And once it does end, you can do whatever you need to do for your body. Whatever. And for now, just hit the gym, work out, do whatever you can. If you want to be a girl, work out your butt, work out parts that'll make you look more feminine. If you want to be a guy, work out your chest, work out your arms. Those are the things you do have control over. Just remember, it always gets better.
Mhm.
And once you're an adult, you can do whatever you do to feel more comfortable.
Well, Sarah, thank you so much for doing this for us. And I know a lot of people will appreciate your story. So may God bless you. And thank you so much for being so brave.
Yeah.
This has been an interview with Redeeming Conversations with Sarah. Again, Sarah is not her real name, but she is from Alberta and she's been able to share a powerful testimony of her own personal story and experience. Thanks again for listening.